1118. So face value is increasing. And coupon 2 is going to take that face value, multiply it with 1.5%, divide 1677. So as long as the inflation remains positive, every year coupons are going to go up. So in a sense, coupons are increasing at the rate of inflation, right? And at the end of 30 years, you get F30, which is equal to $1,000 times 1 plus 30-year inflation, cumulative inflation. So face value also increases at the rate of inflation, which means the $1,000 face value now is the same $1,000 in terms of purchasing power 30 years from now. The first coupon that you get at the end of year one has the same purchasing power as the coupon number 30 at the end of year 30. So in that sense, these are protected by inflation. So inflation is high, you get paid a lot. Inflation is low, you don't get paid much. There's not going to be any question directly from these. I just want you to know about them. So the break-even inflation rate is calculated using the yields on nominal treasury bonds and tips. So break-even inflation would be 1 plus nominal yield divided by 1 plus tips yield, and the whole thing minus 1. Example, current 30-year tips have a yield of, let me see, 160 right now. So they pay 1.6% over and above inflation, if you think about it. And 30-year nominal T-bonds have a yield of 393%. Thus, break-even 30-year inflation, 1 plus the nominal rate divided by 1 plus the real rate minus 1. Okay? So in a sense, that's market's imputed value for what the inflation is going to be on average over the next 30 years. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily a good forecast. That's just the break-even rate between them. If you expect that inflation is going to be much higher than that, you need to buy the tips. If you expect that inflation is going to be much lower than that, you need to buy the nominal bonds. Let's look at 5 years, which is kind of a better forecaster of inflation. Rates, nominal 417, tips 168. So it's gonna tell me the break-even inflation rate. It's not a terribly complicated calculation. As you can see, I didn't even need to use Excel. I could, but I just chose not to. At what inflation rate these two would, you would be indifferent between these two investments? Apply the formula. I'll do it on my phone. Hmm? Let's see. Yeah, 2.4488. 1 plus the nominal, 1 plus the tips, rounded up 2.45%. Now, that actually has implications. You guys may or may not know, Fed has a semi-official inflation target of 2%. Okay. And this says over the next 5 years, we expect inflation to be close to 2.5%. So what do you think this says about possible Fed actions in the near future? If you were a Fed official, your target is 2, market says, given where things are, it's going to be 245. What do you need to do to get that down? Raise interest rates. As you raise interest rates, you're going to reduce aggregate demand, because at higher interest rates, people are not going to borrow to buy cars, houses, or corporations are not going to invest at that rate, so on and so forth. Okay? So when people don't buy too much, price of things are going to come down. You can, but in the meantime, you're going to make higher payments. Yeah, yeah. I mean, let me give you an example. My ex bought a house. Technically, it's not a house. It's a townhome, a 2-bedroom, 2-story townhome. It's just a fancy apartment in La Jolla, California, which is a horribly expensive place. Uh, she bought it at 700,000. She financed about 400. So monthly payment for that, she had a 2.87% rate divided by 12 for 360 periods, 400,000. That's just the payment on the mortgage itself. Plus, you got taxes, HOA, that sort of stuff. She's paying a lot more than that, but that's the payment. This is at, let me make that parametric. Now, let's find out what the 30-year mortgage rates are for good credit. Let's see. It's 678 now. She was about 12 basis points above the rates then. In fact, I can tell you August 21. No, it was about here. Anyway, let's just do 678. You would have to pay $1,000 more for the same loan until it goes down. Yes, you can refinance later, but alternatively, you could wait for the house prices to come down, then buy. Would La Jolla ever come down? Probably not, because the same place, the market is around 850 now. But that's a very special market. But around here, anything you bought at $300,000 two summers ago, summer of 21, that was the peak. It's probably not worth more than 250 now. So let's make the same calculation for 300,000. It would have been 1243. If it went down to 250, even at 250, you would pay higher. Okay. Even at 200, you would pay higher. Yes, you can refinance later. I don't know how much they're going to come down, but you're going to be paying quite a bit. So think of it this way. Let's say it's going to take 5 years for the rates to come down to 287. Let's use the same loan amount, and you bought it right now. Times 60. Or let's do it this way. You're going to pay 117,000 extra, right? No,